get started. So I am at the moment able to record this, so that's good. So welcome everybody. This is my second talk discussion here at SL15B in the SS Crystal. I'm just going to stress that again, the SS Crystal. Obviously named after me and nothing to do with it being the 15th anniversary, which is Crystal. Um, Auditorium. So, for those of you that don't know me, my background is that I work for some events and stores in Second Life, and I've been involved with the SL community celebrations, uh, doing interviews with Safia Widdershins in the last few years. Safia does the Meet the Linden ones now, which the next one is at 2 o'clock. And this year I was asked to do um, 3 interviews at 12 noon. Did one on Tuesday, did one obviously doing this one today, and I've got one coming up tomorrow as well. Today I am joined by the amazing Pet Karu. You will think she's amazing by the end of the hour, I promise you. And we're going to be talking about relationships in Second Life and beyond. And when I use the term relationships, um, I'm certainly not just thinking limited to intimate relationships or partnerships, that kind of thing, but also a lot of the stuff that we talk about is relevant to friendships, work relationships. Um, I know that there's a few bloggers out in the audience, so the relationships that you have with the stores that you blog for, any kind of relationship that you have with a person in Second Life and or real life. Um, so the best person to introduce themselves and tell you a bit about their background is obviously going to be Pet herself. So, Pet, can you give us maybe some background generally to yourself, and then how you got involved with Second Life?
Sure. Hi, and first of all, thank you for having me today. And hello, everybody that's out there. Old friends, new friends, and hopefully some of you that are not friends will be friends shortly. So, hello, everyone. And to answer your question, Crystal, I became, let's see, my background basically is eclectic, if I have to use a word. Um, I am not a one-dimensional person. I dabble into all sorts of things, but I came from a background as far as the real life. I worked as an industrial investigator. I have my first degree is in environmental management, and I worked for the sewer department. From there, I literally had a shift in career. The shift took me from being 6 years with full retirement to actually being unemployed and going back to school. When I went back to school for my second degree, my second bachelor's, I got a degree in biblical studies and biblical counseling. From there, I got my master's degree in biblical counseling and in sexual addictions. My online history has been started with AOL with our first computer in 2004 and Yahoo, Pal Talk. And in there, I always found myself with people that had issues that were going on in their lives, and they were found me comfortable to talk to. And I made room for them to be able to talk to me. Um, so from there, I came to Second Life, and like everybody that comes here, you're going, wow, look what my avatar can do. So for the first 3 weeks, Pet lost her mind. If I know some of you from my first 3 weeks here, I am so sorry for what I did to you, um, because I basically was still going through my issues of sexual addictions. Once those were overcome, I who said it's time to put these degrees in order. I'm a pastor. I'm a biblical counselor, which means I can use the Bible to change, help you through whatever change you're going through. But as a counselor, I can also help you through any change you're going through, and you don't have to ascribe to the tenets of the Bible. I can talk to anyone, and I generally do. I named Pet on purpose because I wanted to be able to gain entry into certain arenas, such as the BDSM sims, the vampire sims, um, you name it, it's out there, the adult sims. I didn't feel as though anyone would want to talk to Super Sally Save Sanctified Sandra. It just didn't ring a bell. But pet is something that they could identify with, something they're familiar with. So I named her Pet, and generally I have talked to a lot of people on those sims that wanted to break free of sexual addictions. One BDSM actually hired me to give discussions to build faith, not faith, I'm sorry, to build trust in their relationships and to eradicate fear. So I was there for about, 18 months, and I had a regular, 2 days a week that I held sessions, and I enjoyed it. I tried the whole other scene of, well, I'm a pastor, so I need to be in a Second Life church, and that, after a while, just didn't fit well with me. I'm much more comfortable talking to people outside of the walls of church, and plus the people that I talk to generally are not the ones that are going to come to church in Second Life or in real life. So that's a real brief kind of a mix of me, real life and Second Life. I hope I answered your question without rambling.
Yeah, you completely answered the question, and I found out some new information about you that I didn't know, and obviously, I know a little bit. I first met you. I was looking at the Inspiration Island website and found obviously one of your sessions. Well, it wasn't supposed to be you. It was supposed to be somebody else you'd just taken over
Hmm.
doing those sessions, and I came along to one of them to listen to what you had to say. I was quite open minded about um, what sort of counselling and what sort of support and help was available in Second Avenue. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, at how many people were there. My fear was I'd turn up and be the only person there. Um, so I was very pleasantly surprised at how much of an audience that you have for the sessions. Um,
Hmm.
and the mix of people that were there at all, as well. So you can tell the audience a little bit more about what you do in those meetings.
Okay. Um, Generally, I actually follow a format, and the format is I think it's rather unusual. If some of you have gone to talks and discussions in Second Life, you go there and pretty much like Kess said, you're either the only one or there are three people, and how you're going to have a discussion when two of them are the facilitator. So, um, but if you have a larger crowd, then you want to be able to nurture that crowd. And true, I did take over for Jamie Coach, if some of you know him. We're basically in the same line of business. And I was going through my own issues at the time, and I was going to Jamie's talks, and I found them enlightening. And so, it was awesome. And he also had offered his services to anyone that was interested. And he does his services real life. So you come out of Second Life and you do your talks. It's generally 6 weeks. And it was so powerful that I now wear a name tag that says authentic, simply because it was that earth shattering for me. And when Jamie was pulled away into real life, He had asked me, he said, you did such a good job at the end of your sessions telling everyone about the sessions and what you got out of it. Would you mind taking over until I can get back? Probably just 2 weeks. And I said, sure, no problem. I can do that for you. And of course, I did it with much fear and trembling and trepidation. And Jamie's focus was on this little circle in the middle of your gathering. And the circle is called the feeling wheel. And he actually uses those while he was coaching. And what it is it has a list of emotions on this diagram. And there's shame, there's love, and there's forgiveness in the center. And he transitions you through all of that to get you to the point of either forgiveness or, if you're willing, to the point of love. And so when he asked me to take over, I'm like, sure, I can help with transformation, and love is my baby. So I can do that for you. And when I did, like I said, it was much fear at first because you don't know how you're going to be received. And of course, I'm not Jamie. And he had masses of people there. And I'm going, okay, I hope I don't lose anyone. These are his people. And then when I found out he wasn't coming back, and would you take over for him? Wow. that was that was kind of like, for real? You want me to do that? And so since February, I've been taking over the sessions and pretty much making them my own, the way I would do them. We still utilize the feeling wheel, but not as much. And I, of course, offer any help that I can outside of the arena. But during the conversations that we have, I'm a facilitator. I'm not a lecturer. I can give a lecture if someone wants to sit and listen, but I'd rather have a discussion. Most people want to be heard. And I frame my sessions around the topic so that they incite dialogue. And one of my goals in each session is that we walk away changed. Either a little less fearful, a little more trusting. We pretty much, I hope, can leave blame and shame at on the last TP that we took. um, but I offer an opportunity for people to speak. As one lady said, you gave me a soft place to land when I was falling apart. And through the dialogue, yeah, go ahead.
I was interested. Is there a common um, reason that you find that people come along on for their first time?
Mm, yes, many are in Second Life relationships, and let's face it, our Second Life day is extremely short. It's not the 24-hour day that we live. We become immersed, and even if we say we're not, we can become immersed after just spending 15 minutes in Second Life. And through that time, basically, as relationships form, our expectations come to light. And what I try to do is remind people that when you first meet someone, you don't partner them the next day. It just doesn't happen.
Well, I think some
But
people
you
do.
want to you want to get to know them. I know they do. I've married quite a few. Um, but you want to get to know them. And the reason is because you're meeting their marketing representative. This is your salesperson. This is the one up front, the upfront guy. You want to buy this car. Look, kick the wheels. It's a great car. And look at the color. It matches your eyes. Stuff like that. Or what we would say is, wow, great looking avatar. Love your hair. That outfit is wonderful. You look so good in it. Lady, you're hot. And this is
So we're on our
what
best behavior,
formulates.
basically.
Yeah, not just best behavior. We're just looking with our eyes and not with our hearts or minds. And what I try to do is help people to open up their mind and their hearts before they step in to a situation that is going to change in a few months. Okay.
Yeah, I was curious at this point just to ask people in the audience, like, How many people have been in a second life relationship? Just a yes or no in
I
chat.
have
Yep,
raised both my hands.
I have two.
few. I don't know whether the chat extender's not working. I can't see.
No, I heard. I can't see who it was. Let me turn up my voice, nearby voice, the box, so that I can see who's commenting. There we go. Could you repeat that, whoever you were?
Yes, I have been in a salary relationship, and I am in a salary relationship right now.
Okay.
Oh,
I
hi,
think
Evelyn.
a lot of people have. I can't see if people are answering, like typing yes or no in chat. It's not coming up, but most of the
I
people
can
that
help
I
you
know.
with that. I can help you with that. If you open communications and scroll down to nearby voice, it'll open up a drop down, and it will show you who is speaking.
Yeah, no, I wondered if
And
anyone was typing the answer, yes or no.
oh,
There,
I
there's
see.
supposed to be a chat extender so you can see chat, but
Okay.
um, so I think it's something that it's common for people to get into. Um, thank you, Dawny. Um, it's obviously we all know people that have been in second life relationships, and like you say, I have, you have. I know at least two people in the audience that are three now.
Hmm.
Um, so it's you were saying that they come to you because um they've got past that stage of this, the newness, and it's when things are starting to bed in that they tend to come to you.
Well, yeah. I would prefer they come before. And congratulations, Donnie. Um, I would prefer that they come before, but of course, nobody's thinking of a counselor when you first fall in love, right? So generally, they come to me when they say, he's just not attentive anymore, or she just doesn't have ambition, or she doesn't like to do the things that she said she likes to do. He doesn't like to do, and it goes on and on and on. And that's only because now they've taken the mask off. And when you take the mask off and the real person comes up, and they never ask the question of the real person, do you like me? It's just naturally assumed that there will be a continuation of the person that they met without any evolution at all. But unfortunately, all things change, including us and our feelings. And when we don't see what we saw in the beginning, we either run away in fear or we start with accusations. And the unmet expectation of you remaining as you were and never ever changing, that is excellent fertile ground for anger, hostilities, shame and blame, fear of leaving and abandonment, or control. So a lot of uglies start to come up. And these uglies generally stem outside of our second life lives, because in real life is where they grow in their culture, even as little kids until we're adults. And we don't know a person's history, and until we know their history and accept their history, relationships are, unfortunately, especially the speedy starburst ones, they're going to burn out. And I'm here to help them pass the burnout if they're so willing.
So, what does success look like if someone comes to you? I'm assuming it's not necessarily that the people stay together. It may even be in some cases that they realise that they shouldn't be together. If that
Right.
actually makes them happier, is that success?
It is. And I'm not looking for a success of mine. There is no success of mine. The only success I achieve is when someone is willing to sit down with me and open their heart and mind and trust me with it. then I have success and I'm done with that. However, for the couple, generally, success does take on many forms. It either brings them closer together, or they remain at a not a stagnant, but a stalemate, and they say, okay, we know that these are hot buttons, so we're not going to push them, but they're going to stay together for whatever reason, and they never relieve themselves of the burdens of why this is a hot button for them. Some people, as a success, do end up falling away or breaking up or backing up, and regrouping and deciding, we make better friends than partners. I still like hanging out with you. You're still an awesome dude. You're still an awesome woman. But I don't think we should like cohabitate. Those kind of things. That's a success because it's a growing moment. Anytime a person can grow and acknowledge, yeah, we tried it. It doesn't make it a mistake. It's not a failure. It's a learning opportunity. What did you learn about each other? What did you learn about yourself? So it's always a success, if that makes sense to all of you. If it doesn't, ask questions. That's what we're here for.
What's the general starting point then if a couple comes to you with, saying that they're having these nibbles and arguments and they're not, that things aren't the same as they were 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago? Where do you tend to start with that?
Well, I want them to come together. I typically, like any other counselor, if I'm sitting down with one member of a couple, then they are not allowed to bash the other person, simply because the person is not there to defend themselves. They're not there to tell me all the ugly the other person has done. They're there at that point. If they come alone, then they must tell me about themselves and their goals, what they hope to get out of the relationship. If they come as a couple, then I will ask, for one, that we speak in voice. I have an ear that can basically hear when a person is kind of giving the sham or giving a weak excuse of why they're reluctant to A, B, and C. Also, if a couple comes to me and they're having a lot of arguments and things like that, I will ask them, we're not going to have bickering here. You can bicker somewhere else, but there will be no arguing here. Here, I'm Queen Bee, and both of you must do what I say, when I say it. So I'm going to expect the two of you, I will ask both of you questions in private. I will ask you permission if I can address those in public. And the reason is I want to gauge where's the baseline. Is the baseline equal? Do they have equal footing? If not, then how can we adjust one or the other? If they come and it's all his fault, all her fault, then I'm going to ask them to give me a list. And then after I have the list, I'll proceed from there. Also, if they are struggling with intimacy, I will ask them to, first I'll ask him, put you guys in a cuddle pose on my couch. I have a clean couch, but it has cuddles. So find a cuddle that works for you guys. And I'll observe, basically at that point, the body language. Are these cuddles that foster nurturing? Or are these cuddles like, okay, yeah, you're next to me, but hey, don't touch me. Then I'll ask her. Or if it's same sex, I'll ask the other party. And what I want to see is basically their choices. If they're putting themselves in a cuddle pose where they are showing body language where they're looking at one another, then there's a lot of hope for that relationship. But if, on my couch there are options where he's on one end, she's on the other, or if it's same sex, they're not facing each other. Okay, that tells me a lot. It should tell them. And I'll ask them, do you see the pose you chose? Why did you choose it? So things like that is a starting point for me. And hopefully for those that I counsel, they will walk away from the first session with an idea of the direction we're going. If they desire biblical counseling, then I will pick up my big book and I'll show them what's necessary for a relationship to survive, if that is their desire. Is there anything more?
No, that was a good answer to that one. So I'm thinking more not necessarily just intimate relationships now, but obviously any kind of relationship. They say that communication is
Mm-hmm.
key. How do you or what do you recommend for people if they're struggling to communicate in an online environment? Because it is obviously there's things that you don't have, like body language and tells and things like that that you can't have in Second Life. um
Mm-hmm.
what are your sort of main bits of advice regarding communication?
Um, in regards to communication, I will ask both parties to write each other a love letter, but not your typical love letter. I want it to include certain things like I fell in love with you because, and I still love you because. I will also ask them to read those letters out loud to their partner. For some couples, I told you I love you once. Wasn't that enough? I have to tell you every day, don't you believe me? Then there are other couples where, goodness gracious, all he ever says, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, and we don't talk about anything. So it, again, too, is a baseline. It shows me where they are. And I can help from there to improve or help them to improve their ability to communicate with each other. Every person on the planet communicates in one of 5 ways. For some people, if you listen closely, you'll hear them saying things like, I see what you're saying, or I look at it this way. Well, this person is visual. For them, love needs to be expressed visually. For another person, I hear what you're saying. I said this. They said that. Everything revolves around the vocal. For this person, that is how they I don't want not transport. That's how they transmit. That's how they give their love. For another person, is touch. They communicate with, he never puts his hand on the small of my back anymore. He used to, but he doesn't anymore. Well, she has to find a way to let him know, because just walking up to him and saying, put your hand on my back. If he's not one that operates through hearing, then she needs to find out what is his love language. How does he communicate to others? Even though he may be using words, she needs to use the words so that he can receive them. So communication is key. Without communication, relationships fail. And some couples think that just because they're arguing, they're communicating. And they're not. That's not communication.
but but some arguing is healthy, right?
Oh, most definitely. You must have confrontation. Simply because if something hurts, the other party doesn't, an unintended hurt, basically, when a couple, how can I say this? When you did this to me, you hurt my feelings, okay? But if I don't tell you that that hurt my feelings, whose responsibility is it for my feelings? Obviously, not the other party. because they don't even know they hurt your feelings. So the one with the hurt feelings has to be the one to speak up. And sometimes speaking up is scary. It can bring all sorts of fear from our childhood, adolescence, young adult. It is monstrous. Even on our jobs, if we speak up, we could be fired. But speaking up is necessary because you have a right to protect your own self from hurt, harm, and danger. And if you don't take that responsibility, it will not be given to you by the masses. So you have to find a way that you're comfortable with confrontation. Obviously I am. That's why I'm a counselor.
I think most people eventually, if they've been in Second Life for a little while, are going to be more comfortable with confrontation. There does seem to be more of it online
hmm
than in real life.
Yeah, and there's a difference between confronting someone and being a bully. You don't have to be a bully, and you don't have to be in charge of the conversation to get your point across. You can have those moments when you sit back, take a pause, without formulating your next thought, but honestly, genuinely listen to what your partner has to say. And that is very hard work, and it takes time to develop what I call active listening. If you're not listening actively, you're not listening. You have ears on the side of your head and it flows in one, goes out the other. But when you're actively listening, make pictures in your mind of what they're telling you. Feel what they're telling you, because all words come with a dynamic that impacts our body. What do you feel in your body when you hear your partner speak to you? Do you feel love coming from them? Do you feel rejection coming from them? Not that you're the source of anything negative. It could be something that their great grandmother said to them when they were 10 that is showing up in their lives today. Well, if when you realize that it's not always about you for real, it really isn't, then you can let go of your reaction to the words that you're hearing and allow your partner to speak with an open heart. And if you can give that to your partner, wow, you have like hurdled 10 degrees of problems right there.
So, are there circumstances that people might come to you, either individually or as a couple, that you think, no, I can't help you, or after one session, you think, "Th- I can't help you. There's just no way I can help you."
Actually, yes. There are couples when either it's the first session, third session, fifth session, or maybe even the 20th session. But if we're not making inroads and they are as solid as a wall and they're unyielding to change, then my job is done. And I have no problem saying, you know what? I can't do anything more for you. Go forth and prosper. And at that point, I will be silent. And I've had to do that recently with a couple. It's like, okay, you don't want my help. I've made my suggestions. And you are unwilling to even try. So since you're unwilling to try, I can't work with you. You're done here. And I'll go silent. I believe really it's the silence that gets them. It's kind of like when mom goes quiet, oh, we're in trouble.
That's true.
Um,
I knew when I
but
was in trouble when my mum went quiet. If she was
yeah,
screaming at me, I
I'll,
was fine.
but yeah, when I go quiet and I don't say anything further, I don't type. And some couples at that point will say, well, what do you want us to do? Aha, I have your attention. And you're willing. But if the couple instead says, well, okay, I guess we're done here, and they leave, I look on my calendar and I mark the time and I say, okay, 2 weeks tops, and they'll be separated. In 2 weeks tops, I'll get an IM from one or the other saying, we're not together anymore. And counseling just didn't work for them. Now, I will say this as a defense, that your results, anyone's results of counseling, if the counseling itself doesn't serve you, it is not the counseling or the counselor's fault. Did you do the work? I can only lead you to the water. I cannot put it down your throat. So there will be work. There will be homework. There will be things that you have to practice. Take her out on a date. Take him out on a date. Make it as special as possible. Let them know that they are truly, truly loved. And if those things are not forthcoming by the fifth session, they're unwilling. They're unwilling to try. They're unwilling to get past whatever issue they have. So then I say, I'm done. I'm quiet. I can't do anything further for you because really, you don't want it. You're not willing to fight for it.
I know you said it's not your success personally, but there must be times that you've had people come to you for help, and then they have turned things around, and I don't know, been together years and years in SL, or gotten together in real life, or whatever. So that would be seen, I guess, as a success. Do you have any of those where you think, where somebody's turned up and you thought, oh, I'm not sure this is going to work either, and then it really has, and they've.
I have I have giggled in the past. Um, Generally, when I see, and remember, I call all sessions a success because they came willingly. And that right there is my measuring stick. However, I have seen couples like anyone else where you go, there's no way that's going to last. We have friends that we observe and they're going, oh my God, this person dates like a serial killer. It's today and tomorrow, and he gets me, and but then 2 weeks later they broke up. So I have seen those people that have actually devour relationships, well, not stalk, that's a different word, but they hunt. And when they come to me, they're like, fix them so that they stop hunting. Well, they broke up for whatever reason, and down the road when maturity happened, they got back together. And they even evolved into a real life relationship. Remember, we all change from day to day to day. And since we do change, those people that were deemed they should not be together, that it's gonna end badly. For those people, when we sit back and we judge them, we're a little critical, and we say that's not going to work. Well, for that time in that season, it didn't, but they changed. Something changed in both of them, where no matter what, they didn't let go, and they offered a door to walk back through. I try to encourage couples, whether even if they are in a good relationship and they're in a good place, there's no amount of anything that you can do to make a relationship work if it's not meant to be. And conversely, there's nothing you can ever do or say that can make a relationship break up if you're meant to be together. If the universe has decided that these two shall walk this path together, then you're gonna. And you're also gonna find a way to make it work because it's in you. I think all of us are kind of sort of predestined and pre-programmed to vibe with a certain person. Now, does that mean we vibe with them every day and every day is sunshine and roses? Oh dear God, no. You're going to have the hardships and the troubles and the confusion and even the doubts and the fears and even the thoughts of, I don't know if I want to stay with this person. But even as those come and you push them aside or you deal with it, life happens. Whether you find yourself 2 weeks into the relationship and everything is going great, or you find yourself 5 years into the relationship and suddenly it's sour, not because of another person invading the relationship, just it went sour. You were supposed to learn something from that person. They have taught you all they're supposed to, and you have taught them all that you're supposed to. So their usefulness has expired. It's time to move on. There you go. I should have wrote that down. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm recording this so you can watch it back. So just to, I realised that I didn't really explain it necessarily at the beginning, but um, obviously you have the public sessions that you do on what's the name of the sim or the island,
Ah, I speak on two different Sims.
right?
One is Creation Park. I speak there, pardon me, I speak there on Mondays at 11 o'clock. And the other Sim is Inspiration Island, which is whole brain health. It is the most dynamic and wonderful sim I've ever seen. Um, it's fantastic what they're offering for seniors. If you look around the demographics of Second Life, we don't have a lot of 20-year-olds here. We have a lot of 40, 50, 60, 70, and some 80-year-old people who have a lot of history behind them. And Whole Brain Health offers an opportunity for the senior or the older and more mature Second Life player. It offers them an opportunity to become familiar with their environment, which obviously their home environment, they're changing. They're spending more time now in front of the computer, but keeps them active. They're keeping the brain engaged with games and puzzles and things like that. But they're also offering opportunity to learn new things. So that is why I really, really have a passion for that sim. It's amazing. It really is.
And is
You know,
there
they go
is
ahead.
it like a course? Is there a week one and a week 10, or can people start? Can they just turn up at any point, or
Okay, currently we are doing a series of affirmations, quote unquote, for healing the soul, without the individual being healed of anything that ails them. You're going to bring all those ailments into the relationship. And by ailments, I'm talking about mentality, emotionally, spiritually. Without healing, if you're fearful and you bring that into a relationship, or if you're prideful and arrogant and selfish, or if you have an inclination and a penchant for lying, you bring that into a relationship. So we're doing affirmations right now, and it's by Deepak Chopra. And I play the CD. I almost said cassette. See, I almost told everyone how old I am. You, we, I play it's usually like a 2 minute snippet, and we talk about it. I'll give you an example. A is for acceptance. Until you can accept your own self for who you are, with all of your flaws, with all of your history, with everything that was done wrong to you and bad to you, and until you can hurdle every mistake that you've made, you will then take your own self into a relationship with another person broken. So if you are broken and your partner is broken, the relationship will be broken as well. Relationships have life. You have to nurture it. You have to feed it. You even have to change the diaper sometimes. I hate to be graphic, but it's true. There's a lot of things that come up inside of our own selves, and we regurgitate it into our relationship. And unfortunately, the relationship is going, what do you want me to do with that? That's a mess. But it's true, and it's who we are. So until we accept the ugliness about ourselves, our ugly thoughts, our ugly ways, and then you can then have the power to hurdle it. Without acceptance, you'll always, no matter what you do, it's kind of like going on a diet, but never saying, you know what, I weigh too much, or I eat improperly. And because I eat improperly, I'm going to gain weight. But what we say is, I like that, I'm going to eat that, and I'm happy because I'm full. But until we take a look at what we're doing and we make peace with it, then we can allow change to happen. So then we're allowed to accept ourselves. But as we accept ourselves, we must accept others. The next one in the series is B is for bonding, kind of like the glue that holds us together. And if the broken bits are all put in place and we use a little adhesive, now we can offer this broken vase to someone else and say, here, handle it carefully. This is my heart. And until you recognize that every heart that is offered to you in a relationship is already broken too, you will mishandle each heart that you have. So we're going through the series, and then we're talking about it. And when the series is over, then we'll go back to certain topics that come up, like being used and abused and misused. What was the one? Used, abused, misused, and something else that has used in the title. Um, we talk about that, talk about fear, talk about trust, talk about communication. And then I'll run through the series again because it's such a good series. And he goes alphabetically, and currently we're on N is for Nurturing was yesterday. And so I didn't look at the next in the series yet. But anyone can step in at any time and feel just as qualified and just as comfortable, just as to get in the flow of everything, because I make it accessible and easy for them to participate, and also to be able to share. We have an open arena, but I tell them that whatever is said here stays here if you get personal, and you only have to share as much as you're willing to.
And people don't
So
have
yeah.
to talk if they don't want to. They can, lurk until they feel comfortable if they want to just listen. And
Oh, I have one person that lurks repeatedly. They never type, they never talk, but they come to every session. They don't say hi. They sit down, and when it's over, they leave. At the end of my sessions, there is one thing that I absolutely love,
and I
and that
I wouldn't
is
do this in the sessions I went to. I didn't do this. I don't like it.
no, and that's perfectly okay because that's your comfort zone. And that's not your love language either. You're not a love language that is, touch is not how you communicate.
I'm not
Um,
tactile at all. I like my space.
and I have a group hugger. It is the most awesome thing in SL. And no matter how many people are on it, you can group hug with as many people as you want. And so at the end of our sessions, I play my exit song, which is, now I'm going to tell my age, Burke Bacharach with Dionne Warwick singing, "What the world needs now is love." Because without love, we have no healing. We're just floundering out here. And that includes self-love, that includes loving of others, and it also includes if you practice the love of spirit of God. So without love, we're just literally doomed. And how are you going to have a relationship without some modicum of love? You must have a degree of love somewhere inside of you. But yeah, I like the hugger, and no, Kess did not get on my hugger. It was hilarious. It was like, I'm not coming down there. She sent me an IM. I'm not coming down there. I'm not doing that. I said, honey, you don't have to. Thanks, because I'm not coming. It's like, okay.
I was. I mean, two of my best friends in the audience. I don't think I've ever hugged them either, and I've known them years. I might say hugs, but like no touching.
Please don't touch me. Yeah. I have friends like that, and that's perfectly okay. That's who you are. And people must accept you as you are,
I I
not for how they
worked
wish you would.
I worked in real life with somebody that was a hugger once, and the first I'd only been there working there about a week or so, and um they came over to my desk or where I was stood with their arms outstretched, and I literally screwed up my eyes and just went, "Don't touch me!"
I used to play on a role play some of you may know it, Tombstone. Awesome role play. And I was the preacher. I was the town preacher, so I was preacher pet. I gave a sermon every Sunday. It was the only place on the sim where I did not role play. It was an actual sermon. And it was for the people who were sick and shut in. I didn't know how many people were ill behind the computer until I got there. And one lady told me, she said, I can't get out to church, but I consider coming to your sermons as my church. And that just blessed my heart. And at the end of church, because this is what we do in my real life church, is we hug three people. We go across the room and we hug them. Well, I tried to get people to hug each other and they were like, that's not going to happen. So I started hugging everyone that was there. I would watch one woman that would literally would bolt for the door. And one day I asked her, I said, why do you leave when I get ready to hug? And she said, because your hugs are lethal. And I know the minute you do, my world is going to fall apart and I'm going to cry. And I'm just going to be a mess. But it's just a hug. But it's true. In Second Life, just like you can feel other things and other people, you can feel a hug when it's genuinely given. You can feel it. You may not feel it on your skin, but there's a part of you that is receptive to that hug. Just as if you use those pink and blue post balls on an adult sim, your body reacts physically to what you're visually doing, or not you, your avatar is doing on the screen. Your body reacts without even touching it. So just as that is valid, hugs are valid also. Giving a hug, you can feel it. And those people that don't want to be hugged, don't force them.
And
Find out what
the
works for them.
couples thing that we talked about, or individual counselling, people can talk to you about separately. So there's the sessions that are public, but then
Hmm.
you also do individual counselling as well. Yeah.
Yeah. At my talks, even though, we're talking about relationships, NSL and beyond, there are some people that are open enough to bring their SL things here to the session. And, I'm going through this. Do you think this is bad? Or I'm being ignored. Do you think I should? And I allow the group to also communicate, to also share their experiences. I'm not the sole font of knowledge. I have not been in every type of relationship, and I value other people's opinions as well as their experience. So if they have something to offer, by all means, let me grow too. Teach me.
And briefly, you mentioned that one of the sessions that you do is around trust.
Hmm.
Do you find that is a particular issue for relationships within SL, or no more than in real life?
Now that's a very easy and difficult question at the same time, because it depends on the mentality of the person that's listening. Myself, I am totally immersed in Second Life. That doesn't mean I'm here 24 hours a day. That means when I'm here, I am the same person here as I am in real life. I'm me. I don't put on a persona when I dress my avatar. I just don't. Unless I'm doing a play. That's different. I'm acting. But I don't I don't pretend. There are other peoples who pride themselves on getting alts and running around and doing this, that, or the other, and they make life for the person who wants to be committed in an exclusive relationship difficult. They make it difficult and they do it on purpose. This whoever it is that's doing these things, those are people that I want really to come to my sessions. I want to be able to counsel them because I want to get inside their heads to find out why are all these people that you have created necessary, yet you want to be in a relationship with someone, and you know these people, it's almost like a drug. They're addicted to you. But you can't have time for like 15 women if you've got 15 alts. It just doesn't work. When and it's difficult to build trust. You can't really have a great relationship without trust. Trust is reciprocal. I'm not reciprocal. What's a good one? I was looking for a math term. If you know what I'm trying to say out in the audience, please blurt out the words. Love, if you put it on a scale, you have to put the same amount of trust on there in order for it to balance out. Okay, it's a balanced equation. That's it. That's what I'm looking for. Without that, it is impossible. I can't say I love you, I love you, I love you, and then I'm also untrustworthy. If I'm untrustworthy, then where's the love? Or I love you, I love you, I love you, and we don't know the person we're saying it to because they're untrustworthy. Building trust in a relationship, it's so easy to say the words I love you. Life has done that and made it simple, and they've dumbed it down. It's easy to say I like you. It's easy to say I love you. It's easy to say I lust after you. But can you imagine the impact? If we change the word and say, I honor you, I respect you, I trust you. Those words have impact. More so than hearing, I love you, because I love you has been so overplayed. But if you tell them, I honor you, I respect you, I trust you. Wow, that is truly cement. It will definitely solidify the relationship so that they can face the world together because it means something. Okay.
Yeah. Now, obviously, it's not the first time that I've heard you say a lot of what you've um, said with us this afternoon, and I still find it extremely powerful when you do. We are sort of coming up to the end of the time, and I did want to see if there are any questions from the
Sure.
audience. I know that we have to finish within a certain time because they'd like to restart the Sims before the Meet the Lindens at 2 o'clock. Um, are
Mm-hmm.
there any questions from anybody in the audience that they would like to ask Pet?
Bring it on.
So your next session is your next public session is
Monday, well, next week,
next week.
Monday, and yeah, feel free to friend me. Feel free to um, join the group, Invite Inc., or you can look on my profile and join the group Fearless Lovers. That's my group, and I send notices out through both groups. You can also join Whole Brain Health. Notices go out through them as well. So that's 3 avenues that you can use right now. Either find it on my profile, Fearless Lovers, or Invite Inc., or Whole Brain Health. Those are the 3 groups. Or just go ahead and send me a friend request and I will friend you. And I'll send you out a notice. I do not spam. I'm not a disc jockey. I am not a I'm not a hostess, so you don't have to worry about getting multiple things from me all day and all night. I don't do that. I don't like it, and I don't do it. Um, I send out one, here's a mass TP if you're interested in coming, and that's it. I sent out one group notice. I sent also followed up within 15 minutes of the start time, and I'll send it through the group IM, and that's it. That's all that I send out for the day that I'm talking. I do not send it out every day of the week. I just don't do it. I don't believe in it. It's cumbersome. That's a pet peeve. Can you tell?
Okay, well, I'm not seeing any questions. So, how about then if you could give everybody one piece of advice before they head into a second life relationship, just one piece for them to go away with, what would it be?
Well, honestly, it would be what I told my son when he hit puberty. And anyone with kids or you've observed kids or your family has kids or whatever, you know that when they get around the teenage year that they start losing their mind. They are insane. So I used to tell him, please take your brain with you when you make a decision before you jump into a relationship. Listen to what you're hearing, not just with your heart and your needs and your wants, but take your brain with you. Don't use your brain just for lust, wow, hot avatar, you know, but actually with your brain, listen. Is this person speaking on a level in which you're compatible? Is this person speaking your language? Does this person feel the way you feel about things? Please take your whole brain with you when you decide to make a decision about your relationships. And that means at home, in real life, that means on the job, that means at the grocery store. Whenever you encounter another living person, you are actually engaged at that moment. Give them a smile. Show them the real you. Deep down, sometimes dirty and ugly. But make a conscious decision that when you meet someone, you're not going to display your marketing representative. Show them who you are from the onset so that they can make a wise decision as well. Then there'll be less hurting people in this world. And with less only hurting people, hurt people, with less hurt going on, there'll be more healing and I believe less bullying and more peace. That's my ending note.
Excellent. Okay, well, huge thank you, Pet, for agreeing to do this with me. It was thoroughly fascinating, as always, listening to you. And I do recommend the sessions. You find out, makes you ask yourself a lot of questions about yourself, and
Mhm.
not just from a relationship point of view, but just generally who you are and how you behave when you interact with people in friendships and relationships and work situations too. So I can definitely recommend them. Thank you everybody for coming. The next session here it's 2 o'clock. Meet the Lindens, and then I'm back tomorrow at 12 with Trouble Deathly and Wickham Merlin to talk about fashion, fashion blogging, and BVN. So I'm going to get to ask Trouble questions about BVN as if I know nothing about it, um, which should be interesting. So thank you again, everybody. Thank you for coming, and thanks again, Pet.
Thank you so much for having me. And thanks everybody for listening, trusting us with your hearts and minds for this hour. Awesome sauce.